What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today's video is going to focus on interest only versus repayment. Now, I have done a video in relation to what are the benefits of choosing an interest only mortgage as opposed to a repayment and vice versa. So please do check that out if obviously you want more detail. However, for today's particular video, what we're going to do is we're going to randomly find a property. We're not going to analyze it too much, as I have plenty of videos around that if that's something that you obviously want to learn about. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to compare this property if we were to take it under an interest only mortgage and also as a repayment mortgage, just to show you guys how much money you could potentially save by opting for one over the other, and then obviously the opportunity costs in relation to that. So guys, I'm going to jump straight into this. All I ask is if you find any of this useful, smash up that like button. So we're going to begin by just randomly creating a postcode. Just so you know, this is completely random. Essentially, that is where we're going to be looking for a particular property. So essentially, we're just going to type this into Rightmove. We're just going to keep this at 100,000. Hopefully there are some properties there. And I'm just going to make this 3 miles just for the simple fact that there might not be any properties. Now, let's just say 2-bedroom. I can't imagine a 3-bedroom. Actually, let's just put it anyway. A 3-bedroom there, and we're just going to go for houses, guys, just to keep things a little bit simple. So 3-bedroom terraced house. Okay, so we're in Huddersfield, guys. Okay, so I'm just going to literally jump on this straight away. I don't want to be looking too much in terms of the analysis side of is this a good property, for example, but what we can see straight away is that this looks very habitable. So essentially we could pick this up tomorrow, offers over 100, we'd get it for 100. So essentially we're going to buy this for 100 grand. Now, what are the differences in terms of opting for an interest only mortgage as opposed to a repayment one? That's the role of today's video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do before we populate the deal analyzer is to obviously find out what are the rents around this particular area. So very quickly, obviously I've got some plugins here which I have explained to many of you many times. It's saying the average is around 650, which is absolutely fantastic, by the way, for a £100,000 property, in my personal opinion. What I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to find the postcode. Now, there's 2 ways of doing this. Obviously, you can go on Google and we can copy this in, which is what I was going to do now. However, you can also look at the energy performance rating, and well, maybe not this one, but essentially that will show the postcode as well in many circumstances, just not that one. So let's just very quickly open up and we'll just type that in, and essentially what we're going to have is a postcode. Now what we want to be finding out is what are the rents within this particular area. So we know 3 bedrooms, and we're just going to go 3 miles. No, we're not going to do 3 miles. We're going to probably do a 1/4 mile. Although, ideally, the closer the better. Just 1 second, guys. I'm just going to change this to 3 beds just to see if we do get anything. 3-bed terraced, wood lane, 386 per calendar month. Okay, I'm assuming, yeah, it's a student one, so they're probably letting that to 3 students. Okay, we're not looking for that. Right, we need to basically find the same kind of property. So we need to be looking at a terraced. I'm just going to sort these filters out, guys. What we're going to do is we're just going to increase this because I just want to know roughly what the rents are, and I always forget this, but you want to include let agreed as well, because that way it just gives you an indication of what they're actually letting for. Okay, so we have a 3-bedroom terraced house for £675 per calendar month, and this was added on the 4th of the 1st. Do we have anything else? That's all we have. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be a little bit conservative, and we're just going to call it 650 because the main premise of this is obviously comparing interest only to repayment. So 650 is the rent and 100,000 is the purchase price. Purchase price, stamp duty, solicitor fees. We're just going to keep these the same for now, guys. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're just going to work out the differences between a repayment and an interest only one. So this will be really interesting, and obviously the rent, we've gone for 650 for this particular one. So if you're new to this channel and you haven't obviously looked at any of my previous videos, the reason I have the cash flow here, it's kind of giving you the net amount. Now obviously I need to put the mortgage amount in there, and I do always account for voids and maintenance. As a landlord for over 10 years, this is one of the things that many people often forget about, and the last thing you guys want to be doing is throwing all your hard-earned money into a property. Something then happens and you can't obviously look after that particular tenant. So guys, very quickly, we're going to look at the payments, and this is literally probably one of the best calculators that I use. So the mortgage debt is going to be 75,000. We're assuming we're doing a 75% loan to value. Essentially what that means is you're taking a loan against the value of the property, and it's at 75%. So the property value is 100,000 and we're taking 75% of that, which is 75 grand. So nice and simple numbers. We're going to assume an interest rate of 3. So essentially we're going to look at interest only first. That's always what I look at first. And guys, I have done both previously as well, so I'm not just making up stuff here. Okay, so the interest only payments is £187. And so our net cash flow is £416.70. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm also going to do this for a repayment as well. So essentially repayment mortgages, you're obviously paying down the debt as well. Whereas with an interest only mortgage, you're only essentially paying that interest off. And then at the end of the term, let's say 25 years and you never refinanced it, for example, you would be liable then to pay off that £75,000. But I can do videos on that explaining in a little bit more detail how people like ourselves, investors, we get around this, or at least how we kind of think about this. 25,000, calculate 356. So straight away, guys, you can see there is a substantial difference in the amount of cash flow, and that will give you £264.60. I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger, guys, just so you can see it. So if we just zoom in ever so slightly here, and I'm just gonna pull out the difference. So essentially, if you were to opt for an interest only mortgage on this particular property here, you're essentially, let me just move out the way, you're essentially taking home, £1,825.20 extra per year. So what does this tell you? Well, I'm going to run through a few things with you. So firstly, it tells you that obviously you have more money to now play around with. So if, for example, you were going to use your last, let's just have a look how much you're essentially putting in. You'll be putting in 25 grand plus some of these fees here. So if you're using, let's say your last £28,000, you'll be walking away with, on a repayment, £264, which is still decent because obviously you're paying down that debt, and for some people that is all they want to be doing. They want to be paying down their mortgages. I'm not that guy. So if you're more of an investor and you're thinking, I am investing in properties for two reasons. One, I want capital appreciation, which you will still get off an interest only mortgage as well as a repayment mortgage, but I also want cash flow as well. I want cash flow to either allow me to now save quicker for the next property, or I want cash flow because I want to sit down and I don't want to do any work today. I don't want to go to work, and if I can just get a couple of interest only mortgages that, let's say, pay me £416 a month. Let's say you have 100 grand inheritance, or you've done really well in your business and you just buy 4 of these, you're essentially bringing in £1,600 a month plus, whilst having 4 assets going up in value. So entirely up to you guys however you do this. And why I personally choose interest only, and I'll just give you a few reasons here, is that extra £152 a month is really useful for myself. It allows me a little bit of time freedom. It gives me a little bit extra capital back. It allows me to quickly, and because I have quite a few properties, put these extra savings, which is what I call them, savings for investing, aside. And if I just have, let's just say 4 or 5 of these, within 2 years, I've got a deposit saved straight away for another property. And these are the kind of thought processes you need to think about. And you also need to look at where you are in terms of your particular journey. If you're new to this and your goal is to build up a portfolio as quick as possible and you don't have as much capital, for example, I'd always recommend interest only being something you at least entertain. Remember, none of this is financial advice, because you're able to compound your savings together and buy more properties quicker and quicker. But of course, for many people, there's a different mindset. There's a mindset that obviously debt is bad. There's a mindset that you should be paying it down because otherwise you're going to be lumbered with this property. Now, very quickly, as I know many of you are going to probably ask me in the comments down below, so hopefully you've stuck around this point, what happens at the end of the term and if you don't have that money? So essentially, let's imagine you're under the age of, I'm going to say 60, for example. Looking at my demographics, I don't think anyone is watching my channel above the age of 60, and if you are, welcome to the channel. But essentially what will happen is you refinance after the end of a fixed term. So if you take a product out today, you can fix it for 2, 5, 7, 10 years. It really depends on how you want to fix it. You can obviously have it variable too. Now, if you fix it for 2 years, what actually happens is in a 25-year term, there'll be 23 years left, and then what you'll do is you'll go to refinance it. Now, when you go to refinance it, you don't necessarily have to refinance it for 23 years. You can refinance it for another 25 years with a different lender, or maybe even the current lender that you have. So essentially, you kind of just keep moving that 25 along. Now, you can't do that for the rest of your life, because the older you get, then mortgage companies are going to be less reluctant to obviously give you an extensive mortgage because they think you're going to die. So essentially, that's something that you need to be mindful of. However, a couple of my properties, within 2-5 years, they've gone up in value. And this is why when it comes to refinance, you can either leave that equity in there and obviously reduce your monthly payments, or you can refinance that. And this is what I do. I refinance it and I take that money out. So I took just under £10,000 out on one of my other properties. And essentially what I could then do with that, I didn't, but I could, if my goal was to obviously really ramp up my portfolio, was to now use that towards another deposit in another year. And remember, if you're saving a couple of these a year and then you've just taken a refinance in 2 or 3 years, you're going to be able to build your property portfolio a lot quicker. Now, of course, guys, this is just buying vanilla buy-to-lets. This isn't utilizing any of the current strategies like the BRR model, which is really, really useful as well, and something that I do run through over on here and also in the program down below. So I'm going to leave the video there. I just thought it'd be really useful just to show you guys the slight slight differences and run through interest only vs repayment, as this is a really popular topic from many of you. And as always guys, if you manage to stick around until this point of the video, I truly appreciate that. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day when you guys could have been doing anything, and that makes you pretty awesome. So until next time guys, thanks for watching.